that we have to pay attention to the bodies. Okay, when am I super tired? Oh, I've been working out for 3 full weeks. I'm exhausted. I don't want to go. We don't want to just fall into excuses if I don't want to go, but sometimes it's just, I need rest today. I'm just going to eat really well today and get a little bit extra rest so that I can get back on track instead of, beating myself down and just,
Yeah.
That's how people get sick too, right? Like if we're not listening to our bodies, and then yeah. And the thing is, your body is so smart. This is Gabor Mate and many others. Gabor Mate, I don't know if you know a lot about him, but he's got this great book called When the Body Says No, and others. Your body is so smart that if you don't listen to it, it will find a way to get you to listen.
Mm-hmm.
It will find a way to get you to listen.
Yeah.
And that's this awesome, I love this. And I want to do another master's, and I want to do it in this, right? It's like all of these autoimmune, I'm doing autoimmune, but it's an autoimmune things, we'll call them disorders, diseases, whatever. There's so many of them that we don't know where they came from, right? We
just appeared.
Yes. It must be genetic, or we'll do some research on that. Well, there's so many of them. To me, that is something about our bodies. Yes, it's an interaction with the environment, those kinds of things, and stress and all that. But there's so many of them. I truly believe that several of them, and I know this isn't just me, but this is some of the research, are related to the fact that we're not in tune with our bodies. Our body is trying to tell us, stop doing this, or take it down a notch or whatever, and we don't listen, and boom, all of a sudden we're sick. Yeah. Or all of a sudden we have laryngitis, or all of a sudden we have back pain or a neck pain that isn't there's no structural cause. We've been to the doctor, and the doctor's like, well, there's nothing structural about your back pain. But when do you get back pain? Well, every time I have a heightened stress for a long time, then all of a sudden right? Yeah. Your body's amazing. Your body's amazing. So if we can be in tune with that a little bit more proactively, I'm certain the aches and pains would dissipate a little bit more.
So it's interesting you brought that up, because I've been diving into this sort of breathing side of things, and Wim Hof there was a book on Wim Hof, and they were talking about some of the autoimmune disease being so this buffering that's not going on in your body because of the way we're breathing. We're mouth breathers, B, that we're breathing too fast, and we're not sort of regulating properly, and that manifests in some of these autoimmune conditions, right? And some people have been able to manage at least the symptoms of the autoimmune conditions with proper breathing. And yes. I'm going down this whole path lately that I've added into my spectrum this sort of recalibration idea, breathing, walking, barefoot, that kind of stuff. It's reconnecting to some of our awareness within ourselves, and crawling and stuff like that. It was really not. It was so fascinating because it's getting into the medical side of things right now. It's starting to show up there, but this has been stuff that people have been saying for a while, at least in the yoga side of things and alternative medicine. And you were like me, because sometimes you'll look at it, it's like, I don't know about that. But then you're like, okay, like maybe there is something to this, right?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, I'm a skeptic. I'm not like, it's so funny because you and I've talked about, like in choice theory, it was like one guy, Dr. William Glasser, was a phenomenal man with a great mind. He's deceased now, so that's why I say was, but certainly has a giant following. But you and I've talked about having a guru. Like, I'm not about having a guru. I don't believe one person who had this idea. It's about picking and choose. Like looking at everything that's there and sort of picking and choosing. But I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things in Eastern medicine that we're starting to see adapted now in the Western culture. But certainly, and they're scientifically sound. Like the crawling. When I remember hearing about that a decade ago, where I was just like, what are you talking about? There's a class where people are crawling, or what's that about? Well, now I have a son that has some neuro differences, and what we're learning is, like, he didn't crawl, fascinatingly enough, and so we've been to all the specialists, and they said, these are neural patterns that are created when you're a baby about crawling. And if you don't crawl, you don't crawl, fine, whatever. We're like, oh man, he walked, woo, he went right to walking. And it was like some champion thing because we're athletes and we thought that was amazing. Well, now he has some auditory and visual things that he has to recreate those neural patterns in order for him to see better. So his eyes don't track quite right. Like to go from a paper close up to a board far away, that's really hard for him. All rooted back to these neural patterns, right? Same with the breathing. It's not just Wim Hof, I find that fascinating, by the way. That guy's fascinating. Like, if you haven't done any research, people out there that are listening to this, go ahead and look at that. It's just interesting. Like, it seems a little bit like voodoo, but it's fascinating. But I'd say as an extension to what Wim Hof has to offer is just the idea of fascia and the interconnections of fascia and diaphragmatic breathing, and how you can expand what your fascia is doing in that area. And again, like, I think you're the demographic that's listening to this, if they're trainers, they would understand fascia. It's still relatively new, right? Like, we just realized we knew about fascia, but we didn't realize that it was, we thought it was inert, right? We didn't realize it was highly vascular, and it's living, breathing, and it's moving and adapting. Anyways, the whole point of that is that fascia can, like saran wrap, it can bind your body in a certain way. And if our body isn't free to move, then we're going to create motor patterns, adaptive motor patterns, that are going to shut down other things, right? So there's so much about just being able to breathe diaphragmatically that brings a lot of vitality to your life, for sure.